I think we have to be careful when we start to put together the agenda for the 21st century. We have to watch out, number one, for false dichotomies. The idea of the our country being the red and the blue, and there being this big gap between the Republicans and the Democrats, because it's really something. Let's look at who basically gains from this, and it's the media and the politicians. So if you say follow the money, they're trying to create this narrative, and in the narrative that they create, they want us to have a worldview where the ends are the emphasis of differences and fear. They want to really ratchet that way up, and the means that you use if you want to ratchet up differences of and fear is you use this idea of black and white and that things being different. And even when you add just gray, it still doesn't get to the point. So even when you look at some of the liberal programs that are just in the gray area, you're really not addressing the real issue. I mean, the real issue is that if you look at the real map of the United States, it's really purple. I mean, everybody really, we share the same political systems, the same economic, entertainment, scientific, health, defense systems. We share all those. We believe in democracy and capitalism. I mean, what we're really talking about is just what we're going to advantage. And some people believe we should advantage the concept of liberty with emphasis on the rule of law and what we're doing. The others think we should emphasize equality with the idea of the services that the government is going to provide. And the services can be a lot of things like regulating externalities, providing public goods, regulating social programs, controlling the elites. These are all different areas and possibilities that they become part of the conversation. But it's all about what you want to advantage. And right now we're at this kind of this masculine voice of a hierarchy and a black and a white way of looking at the world. And I think that the agenda for the 21st century, it's going to have to be androgynous, okay? We're going to have to, like Carol Gilligan talks about, we're going to actually have to have something where you take the masculine voice and you add the feminine voice to it, and so you combine them together and you create a balance, right? And when you create that balance will actually require new negatives and new narratives. It means we're going to basically get rid of all of the existing myths. We're going to have a whole new set of myths, and we're going to get rid of the existing artifacts, and we're going to have a whole new set of artifacts, and that's a huge change that we're going to see in the 21st century. And that change is going to have to entail things like all of the world is going to become colorful, and it's going to become multidimensional, and we're going to have to, so if you take something like something like the authoritarianism view, and it's kind of its counter view over on the other side of that spectrum, which would be the autonomy view, and we're going to have to start merging these together. Things like hierarchy are going to have to be replaced by looking at hierarchy and relational and relationships. Apathy is going to have to merge with empathy, right? The idea of competition is going to have to merge with the idea of cooperation. The idea of justice is going to have to start to take into account the idea of care. The moral fairness, the rights and rules emphasis that we see today will have to actually also take into account responsibilities and connections. And the problem definition we have today of a formal and abstract is going to have to move to a problem definition that's going to be contextual and narrative. These are very important things, and they really mean that we're going to see a whole new narrative that's going to be full of color and challenges. But it's going to be a narrative that includes both the male and female and the idea of a whole connected world. That's what the narrative is going to have to entail. That new narrative with the collective world means that even our is as well as our ought are going to have to start to include that wider spectrum and more color. The ends that we decide, the values that we're going to go after, and the policies we're going to use to get them. Those ends and means are going to have to start to advantage the androgynous, multidimensional, ambiguous, and flexibility there. So that's going to really substantially change the whole story. It's going to change our story as a species. And so what we're looking at is a whole set of new narratives. Thank you.